Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this YouTube channel and on our podcast network. But if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Anything's fair game as long as it relates back to the Auburn Tigers. On today's live stream, or tonight's live stream, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be discussing SEC Media Day, some initial reaction, thoughts, provocations, opinions about SEC Media Days in general, but mainly relating to the Auburn Tigers and our representatives in Coach Brian Harsin, quarterback Bo Nix, and linebacker Owen Papo. Papo. Got to remember how to pronounce that. For some reason, I always struggle with that one. But that is going to be our main discussion points tonight. Thank you for joining us, whether you are watching this live on the replay. We appreciate you being here and just hanging out with us and spending a little bit of time with us. As you do come into the chat, please do post or even in the comments section or where you're watching from, the War Eagle, City, State, International, all that good stuff. And make sure you smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. As I said, we're going to mainly be discussing that, but whenever we get together, it's fair game to discuss whatever you want within the Auburn family spectrum. I just realized too, I'm seeing on the screen that I was, wearing a Iron Bowl Count'em shirt. I didn't realize. I just grabbed an Auburn shirt and threw one on. It's kind of relevant to what we kind of heard from some things today at at the SEC Media Days and some reactions and thoughts coming from players and coaches and things like that. Got a good crowd already assembling here. Neil White says, let's get rolling. I watched Coach Harsin's interview today and was very impressed. We got Kevin calling in from Daphne. John, what's up, my man? Thank you, John. John, shout out to you for being, again, a member of the Booster Club, but also not only that, but also a channel member here. Appreciate you. Got an East Cobb Snob and Neil White, and Pell City with Michael Trott checking in. A lot of our regulars are here, which means this is going to be a good night. But if you know a friend, invite them into the chat. It's always more fun if you have a social media account. Share the link out and tell them that we are discussing things here live about SEC Media Days. Now, obviously, you guys go ahead and get your comments, questions, anything that you want to discuss around this topic, and we can bounce around a little bit to other things if you'd like to, but we'll try to keep it focused on that. Let me just kind of open up with some general thoughts about it, and maybe it'll give you guys a minute to think about some things and kind of have your own reactions and opinions, share those. I took away a couple. I'm trying to remember the words that I thought of when I was specifically thinking about what Coach Harsin's interview. What I took away from that, I took away 3 words. I'm trying to remember. Energy was one of them. Compliance, and I forget the other one, but they were related to some of the main topics that we thought that would come up from SEC Media Days. And if you were on last night's regular Wednesday night live stream, you remember I told you that he would discuss COVID-19 and all that kind of stuff that comes with, the world we live in currently. He'd discuss NIL and just, he'd get the general questions of being a first-year head coach. Do you know what you're walking into and all that kind of stuff? So literally verbatim, what I thought he would discuss and what I thought he would be asked came to light and came to mind, and he spoke about them himself, but was even prompted to talk about them as well. Also think it was no coincidence that Auburn was the last one on the day, and I mean that in a good way. All right, well, let's catch up with everybody who's popping in here. Kevin says, bought Tix the season opener and booked a hotel room in East Montgomery. Ready for my son to experience Tiger Walk in the game. I'm getting really excited for you, Kevin. I really am. Not only for you, but for your son. There's nothing like experiencing Auburn through the eyes of someone who maybe hasn't or doesn't have the same appreciation. Most of you will know Dee Ford, and I'm not talking about the football player Dee Ford, but Dee Ford, the British lady who became an Auburn fan just by chance. I've met her and spent many times with her. Just hanging out whenever she's been here in Auburn and getting to know her via social media. I got to experience her first day in Auburn with her, or first weekend, really, in her first game, her first trio. And let me tell you, that was so surreal. I venture to say it was better than me during my coming of age and realizing what it meant to be an Auburn family member. Watching it through someone else, watching them get it, that's incredible. So I'm jealous of you, sir, for getting to experience that. It's going to be cool. Uh, WD War Eagle, excuse me, from Lake Martin. I was surprised that the percentage of vaccinated was so low. I'm not personally, just my own feelings about it. I think we can kind of come back and forth on some of these things. And please do hear me when we talk about topics that can be somewhat controversial. I understand everybody's got different opinions, and I hope you understand mine as well. I don't know where everybody falls on that thing. I was very pleased with the way Coach Harsin handled that question, or he wasn't even asked that question. He addressed it right up front. He was very well prepared for that, and I appreciate the approach of seriousness and understanding the levity of a situation, but also understanding that people should be allowed their free choices, and there are consequences for those choices sometimes. And you have to decide whether you're willing to deal with those yourself and how those affect others. So I was not surprised that it was low. And in fact, I don't think it was really low. I think it was higher than actually I thought it would be. I think it was set at right around 60, which means it probably is like 55 or something like that, given an optimistic number. Not shocked by that in the least. Just me, though. Bazoo, War Eagle from Springville, Alabama. I don't know that we've seen you before, Bazoo, but welcome. Thanks for being here. Lee's in the house. Harsin had me ready to run through a brick wall. I've heard that. That's a very common theme that's been coming up over the last, what have we been doing this for about 6 months now, since he's been here. Conviction's a good word. That's not the one I was thinking of, though. Kevin, you and I are like on the same page tonight. I was very impressed with Papo. And I don't know why I'm like overly impressed by him, because I've always been impressed with his athletic ability, but I guess that I haven't gotten a chance to get to know him in, interviews as much, or I just realized my microphone's a little wonky there. Hope that didn't mess it up too bad. But how impressive of a guy he is. And he was very honest in some of his interviews. I think he was doing with Brad Law of the Auburn Sports Network, and saying, look, I'm not really that comfortable with this, and I still get butterflies, but he handled his stuff very well. This is a guy that strikes me a lot like a Deshaun Davis, someone that maybe you thought more just of an athlete, but maybe is a really developing into a good businessman, and a carrying a brand, carrying a persona, and in a good way. I really took that away from Papo too. I was very impressed with him. I'm happy that he's considered and is one of the leaders of the team. This is another common phrase, hard nose for Coach Harsin. Hold on, everybody. What does hard nosed mean? Like, I agree with you that he's a hard nosed coach, but what does it actually mean? Does it mean like it's like a chiseled nose, or what? It's such a weird phrase, but I understand and agree with that. Going to take my 3 little kids to Auburn game this year. Firstborn was born the year Auburn won 2010. Has a onesie title. That's pretty awesome. Kevin, yes. So again, I think I addressed this last night, but I'll continue to remind, so you guys kind of know what I usually get involved with in terms of game day experience and stuff. I got into the pattern a couple years ago of always trying to be at every home game, and whether I was going into the game or not. I've not been blessed with the opportunity to be a member of the media yet. Would love to do that, which would allow me the opportunity to cover this better for you, but also, go to every game, because I can't afford to go to every game. But I will be at one in the stands at least this year. It's probably going to be one of the rinky-dink games, but I will be there at the first game on campus, guaranteed, doing social media all day. I love doing more than just about the football, experiencing the whole of the Auburn experience. So I will be on campus. Would love to meet up and say hello. Penn State's doing the whiteout against us. Looks like we'll only win by 35 now instead of 42. Oh, if you're asking Casey, yes. I haven't seen Casey just yet. At least I haven't gotten that far in the comments. We'll see how Casey has adjusted their expectations. Do you think it's a shock? Is it a shock to you that Penn State announced that today? It shouldn't have been. They knew Auburn was going to be in the news today, and they are capitalizing off of that in a good way. And I don't fault them for that. That's a good thing. We knew the whiteout game was coming. It was just a matter of when they announced it, and they chose a good day to do it. I agree with what he said. Educate the guys on the vax, and at the end of the day, respect it's their personal decision. Amen. I am I think one of the biggest problems here, here's my soapbox. I'm getting on it for a second. And this goes across more things than just vaccines and stuff. One of the biggest problems in our society is we don't allow people, we don't give equal standing for all sides of an argument to be heard and discussed. There's a difference between being heard and being discussed, because sometimes people will say they're hearing you, but they're not letting you have a conversation and things like that. Everybody on whatever side of this particular issue has a valid point, and to some degree. Some better than others, some less than others. I'm not making an inference one way or the other on that. But what you should do is give them the information that best supports whatever side of the coin that you are on, and let them make their own decision and respect that. We've lost that in our society, is the ability to respect other people's differences of opinions. Soapbox done. I'm sorry. Lee got me fired up on that one. Agree with you. The free choice is favorite part of the press conference. And honestly, I would agree with you as well, because I don't know why I'd kind of felt like he would be one of the guys that would just really, toe the line and say, just do it and all that kind of stuff. But at least what he's saying in public, I 100% agree with him on that. Where can you find a video of Papo and Nix? I'll be honest with you. I've been at the day job all day, so I've been catching up on all the news. That's why this is really a true reaction video, because I'm kind of fresh on all this stuff and just kind of going off the cuff here as best I can after just watching it a couple of hours ago. I have not found the Bo and the Papo interviews in video form yet, but they are. I'm subscribed to the Auburn Tigers podcast, their official one, and you can hear their interviews there and really see that. He answered on YouTube. They're probably out there. Darius, what's going on? Gulf Shores on vacation. I am so jealous. By the way, Darius, I'm just going to use you as a guinea pig here to remind people of this. Please do, if you are not, join the Facebook group. It's called Auburn Family Tree, and it has like a subtitle of E2C Network next to it. It's called Auburn Family Tree. We're building a community there it's kind of like, wanting to be somewhat of a message board, but not the same crap that you deal with a message board. We're about constructive criticism, not just whining and complaining, and it can cover anything and everything, Auburn. So I say that, Darius, that I love to get things that are posted there that are not just about sports and stuff. So if you're down in Gulf Shores and you see like Auburn people down there and Auburn 10 on the beach or something like that, post that stuff there, man. That's what this place is for. YouTube, Bo Nix Media Days, and Papo Media Days. Yeah, that's probably the best way to find them. They're up there. Harsin was the main one that I wanted to hear, because I pretty much figured what I was going to get from Bo and Papo. Yes, they will be a nice duo together. I'm not too worried about our linebacker core this year. I feel fairly confident about defensive backs. Defensive line, that's a big question. I'm okay with them, but we'll see. Hard nose means no nonsense, get her done, etc. I mean, I kind of understood that too, but isn't it a weird phrase, right? Like, just hard nose. Who came up with that? It means a coach that you're scared of, but a good respect kind of scared. Gotcha. I'm catching up with everybody's stuff here. Vince Lavardi, enough said. That's not bad. That's not bad. I think this is you. Yeah, you're reposting the thing that went on social media about all of that stuff. Well played, Darius. Well played. Yes, Neil. I'm always game to meet up with fellow Auburn fans, so we should definitely do that sometime. Don't be shy to reach out. Talk is cheap. John says. Talk, Kyle. Pads on pads is what counts. SEC 3-ring circus show. Was it 4-ring circus show, because there were 4 days of it, right? Yeah. Listen, I view media days as nothing more than just kind of priming the pump for it. It's kind of the unofficial start of the college football season for me. Really, it's spring or fall practice, but this is kind of where things really start kind of picking up steam. And, we get the one-liners. Back in the day when we had Les Miles and Steve Spurrier here, they were throwing out jabs to each other and other coaches and stuff like that. I mean, you're right. This is just conversation. These are just something to get the media people something to talk about other than trying to do the uniform things better than they think Clint can do it. But Clint obviously does it a lot better than them. But I agree for the most part there. Sorry, I got an itchy nose right now. Allergies and all that. I'm the only one who feels hesitant into the Penn State game. They were once so loud. They were once so loud. I didn't hear the snap. Can't get any more hostile than that. Yes, I'm very hesitant about the Penn State game. I'm predicting a loss right now. Right now. But that's me trying to protect myself. I feel like the Penn State game is going to be a statement. Take the crowd out early and keep your foot on their throat. Could be. It absolutely could be. It's definitely an option there. E, what's going on, my man? We haven't seen you in a little while. He says, I know it's been a minute. How do you feel about Tony Fair comment regarding Bama? Great question, and this can kind of talk a little bit about Bo and what he addressed this comment. Tony Fair, if you missed, one of our defensive line commits coming in this year, he has said he's ready to take off the head of the elephant, obviously referring to Alabama. Someone asked Bo about that at SEC Media Days, and he first started. Here's what I loved about Bo's response. He first starts giving the diplomatic answer and saying, well, it's a great comment and things certainly got some fire. But then he almost just kind of stops and says, you know what? I've said the fair and kind of diplomatic thing, but he let a personality come out and just said, look, I agree with him. We're not afraid of Alabama. Let's take him down. Listen, it's going to be locker room material. It's going to be. You just need to know that, understand that. I have no problem with people making fun little comments back that, but you better be ready to back it up. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I love it. I mean, I love seeing players be excited and ready. Energy. It was one of the words I used to describe all of the media stuff today for Auburn. Let's just go do 18 holes. You do not want to play me in 18. Actually, you probably do because you'll beat me. I'm not a golf person. I'm sorry. I took golf class while at Auburn for just a credit. All I had to do was go up there twice a week and play 9 and check in and check out. And they obviously, if you got done in an hour, they knew you hadn't played 9. But yeah, so that's my extent of golf. Don't run. You don't do Facebook to me. Yeah, it can be that type of place, but that's why we're trying to foster it to be something that's not that. So if you ever feel welcome to come over there, that was an open invitation to anybody. Anthony Hendrickson, just because the media wants answers on vaccination doesn't mean it's their right to know. Harsin knows he's their coach and not their conservator that can air their personal medical decisions to all. One thing that I found interesting about this, listen, I'm not a medical professional. I am married to a medical professional who is very well informed on this whole COVID-19 thing. So I'm saying that to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty well informed on this situation. I don't know that that's a HIPAA violation for them to even ask, but it kind of felt like it would be. I know they weren't asking specifics about personal things, but it kind of felt like that to me. You saw a lot of commentary. I'm going to try to handle this as diplomatically as possible by some social media personalities, we'll put it that way, about questioning the leadership of Harsin simply because he does not demand that of them. There are certain things a coach can demand and should demand of their players. They should never demand that they forego their privacy if they choose to take that on. So I admire Coach Harsin a lot, and the people that are making those commentaries, people that you would know better, they should be ashamed of themselves. And I'd say that to their face. I'm not going to call them out by name here, but it's just a terrible, terrible move to question someone's leadership simply because they are willing to let someone make their own choices. What social media platforms are you most reachable on so I can reach you on game day? So on game day, my usual schedule is this. I post on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Now that we can do some of this stuff, uh, it's going to change probably now that we have access to do live stuff from YouTube, depending on the Wi-Fi. But I'll be doing, a lot of regular updates on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram stories, and then just some major as they come up on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like. You have to kind of do all those things differently, but your best bet is just to try whatever, and I will try to respond if I can. It is a busy day on game day. Listening at Stone Mountain and walking to the laser show. That is awesome. All right, we are getting way behind, I know, but let's keep pushing forward here. Papo referenced Wooden, Burks, Hall, and Truesdale when speaking on the D line. Yes, he did. He seems very encouraged, not only by the rest of the defense, but he made a point to speak in a very positive light about the defensive line. The players and the coaches hear what we say about them. They know what people are thinking. They know that people are questioning the defensive line, which is why I personally kind of lean a little bit that I'm a little bit more optimistic about them, even though there's some questions there, because I think they're the type of players, I think the type of talent that's going to take the questioning of their preparedness is maybe the right term, and use that to drive them forward. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if you've already spoke on this one, but one of our local signees are heading to JUCO route. Yes, that kind of happens from time to time. Was it? I almost said Jaquez, but that everybody's heads would roll in that one. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Y'all have to tell me, and I'll catch up with it in chat soon. Yeah, so part of Media Days, another not coincidence that this was brought up and stirred during SEC Media Days. They knew people were itching for stuff. And by the way, I put out a video here on YouTube if you haven't checked it out. And I gave a couple of takeaways from the discussion and talked about why I think it's a good thing, not just for the SEC, but for Auburn as well. And I think you should check that out if you haven't. It's doing pretty well, actually, on YouTube. I'm kind of surprised. But yeah, it would be crazy. I think it would be a good thing. Go check that out if you want my full thought. Jawan Gaston, thank you. Yes, that was the other one. I'm not shocked. It happens at least once or twice a class. I didn't know it was going to be him, but I'm not shocked that somebody had to go to JUCO before getting here. Anthony says that Auburn has to overachieve this year if they don't want to fall into a recruiting abyss. I disagree. I don't think they have to overachieve. In fact, I'm predicting still an 8-5 in season, which I think is average, even in a first-year head coach year. I think you're seeing what Coach Harson's doing by going out and kind of going into some of these other regions and states that we don't typically reach into, using some of his influence and some of his other coaches' influences out there, further out into Texas, out into the Midwest a little bit, and pulling in some of those players is a sign that they recognize there might be a little bit of deficiency, and they're taking nothing to chance and going to make sure that even in a year where they don't overachieve, maybe, that doesn't become a problem. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up here. I might have to skip over a few things, so please do. I do apologize in advance. Coach Harsin reminds me of General Military. I absolutely love that. I've seen some generals a little bit more hard-nosed, is the word of the day, than him. But, he's definitely up there. Lee, it's funny you say that. It is funny you say that, my friend. We have done those during away games because I traditionally don't travel to the away games. Never say never, though. If I'm in the stadium, Wi-Fi might be able to handle something like that. I don't know. If I'm not, it'll depend on where I am and kind of stuff. But yes, that is a great idea. We've done something similar to that in the past. We'll see what happens. Hopefully. Would it be concerning if Story went to UCF instead of Auburn? No, I mean, You got to think that Coach Malzahn was recruiting him a little bit while he was here, so there was already an established relationship. I wouldn't be so concerned about that personally. What else from media days stuck out to you from Bo, Owen, Coach Harsin, some of the media questions? Nobody's brought up the NIL questions yet and talking about that. Some pretty interesting things. Wonder if Harsin, as a hard-nosed offensive mentality, might blend some 2013 zone read offense in. Remember that he describes himself, and most people describe him as a multiple offense type of coach, so that he's going to use whatever works best for the occasion. He even admitted in his conference today that he implemented some of Coach Malzahn's stuff after meeting with him at the time. But he adapts, he changes. And I think that a lot of Auburn fans were very frustrated by what they perceived as a lack of flexibility from Coach Malzahn and his offensive coaches. And this type of offense would probably provide that more. So, yes, you might get some zone read if the occasion, is necessary for it. But we'll see. Let's see. That 2019 football season was so enticing, so many losses. We had chances to win. UF was winnable in a hostile territory. I was there. Pretty cool atmosphere, even in a loss. The LSU game, we could have won. Yes, the UG game, we lost by a touchdown, and then Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota was the only one that ultimately I just scratch my head at and am upset about is the Minnesota game. Yes, we were in those games. I think you should take that as an encouragement that we were able to do that. In fact, people forget that we won the Iron Bowl a week later. And Bo did that as a freshman. In fact, I had this. I was at a family reunion with Jessica, and it was pretty funny because there's an Alabama fan there in his blazing glory and all this stuff. And we didn't interact much that day, but towards the end of the night, we were finally sitting in the same circle, and he kind of sits down and we start talking football, and somebody finally asked me, so what do you think about your quarterback situation? I said, well, Nix will be the starting quarterback, and got some issues to work out, but I like it. I like his potential, and I like what Coach Harsin and Bobo can do with him. And he starts snickering, and he goes, just saying something. I said, well, I'll tell you this much: I'll take a quarterback with one Iron Bowl win over one with none any day of the week. He didn't have much to say to that. Lee, I saw that. Would I have done that if I was Coach Malzahn? No. But I wouldn't get I don't think you are personally, but there are people who are using that to fuel their hatred of Coach Malzahn even more, which I saw a lot of today. For people that didn't care for him, they sure do spend a lot of time talking about him. And that's just, whether you agree with it or not, it's just gamesmanship. And it's really neither here nor there. I think he was just trying to tell a funny story about it. Not directed at you, though, Lee. I'm just kind of talking about the situation in general. We had talked about, hold on. There we go. Any thoughts on Texas-Oklahoma rumors? Yes. To sound like a salesman here, go check out the video that I posted here. But seriously, though, yes, I think I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good thing. I think it has many benefits for the SEC and for Auburn, especially in terms of realignment, fixing some scheduling issues and things like that for everybody, not just Auburn. Trying to run through all my points in a very brief format here. Marketing, extending the reach of the SEC, and potentially recruiting areas for Auburn. But that's where we are on that subject. All right, I'll come back to your comments and questions real quick. Let me take a short little intermission here to remind you of ways that you can help support our content here. Easiest thing you can do is listen to the podcast or watch the videos here. Number 2, the Booster Club, patreon.com/E2C Network. $1 a month is all it takes to sign up, help support our content. You get exclusive access to things nobody else does there. Ooh, sounds special. It is, though. But you can also become a channel supporter here, and it will get you access to emojis. It's 99 cents is all it takes, but you can do more if you'd like. Get emojis on here. You'll get little icons next to your name as you stay on longer and stuff like that. And we made a commitment on there that your comments and questions take priority there. There's also PayPal, TeePublic. All that stuff is available in the description here if you want to take advantage of that at any point. And since we have been going for a little while now, if you haven't, please do smash that like button to help the stream out and invite more people to join in on the discussion, even if you're watching on the replay. I know a lot of you do. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot today. Whew. Voice is getting a little hoarse. Darius is a good point. In 2019, we almost beat the soon-to-be champs by 3. Think about that. That should show you how much potential that team had. They were the only team to really put LSU in a bind. It's impressive. Smoke Monday did own the Iron Bowl, and he's going to own a lot more people this year. Smoke, I was already very hyped about Smoke Monday, so much when he got here. His name alone is cool enough. When we did a fantasy football league last season, 2 seasons ago, I made my name Smoke Tuesday, just to play off of his thing. Yes, I did see that. Jordan Rodgers said about Tank, he separated himself from the running backs in the SEC. Jordan Rodgers has said some pretty inaccurate and untrue things about Auburn in the past, but I think to me, it almost struck me as during media days that he recognized that and had needed to overcompensate. I appreciate it, and I think it's true. But that's what and maybe that's just me and my bias now because of some of the things that Jordan Rodgers has said in the past. But, I won't take too much what a failed quarterback at Vanderbilt thinks. I shouldn't say failed. Quarterback that could only compete at Vanderbilt. I'm being mean now. I need to stop that. But yes, Tank has separated himself, and anybody who doesn't think so is wrong. 100% wrong. Coach O said the LSU-Auburn game last year was the toughest. Yes, I think that showed in the stats and the result, everything. They were not challenged by hardly anyone else except Alabama, obviously, but us, really. I got the impression that Harsin is sending our players through a strength and conditioning boot camp. Love it. Well, they do every year, but everybody's style is different. Everybody has to prepare differently for whatever system they're running. And listen, when I offer takes like that, I hope you all don't think that I'm just trying to hear in Sunshine Pump and defend the former staff and former coach because I was a huge fan of them. But I think sometimes we have a tendency to assume that they weren't doing that before. They were in just a different way. You may not have agreed with it, but this is a different system. It's a different coach. It's a different way of doing it. So it's going to feel new. It's going to feel better. It's going to feel fresh. That's really kind of makes it feel better because it's something new. And that's a good thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was not happening beforehand. Let's see here. Sorry, just trying to make sure I stay somewhat up to date here. Some people talking about recruiting. Alston's committing tomorrow, right? I think so. But I am not up to date on that as much right now, to be honest with you. Let's see here. We got Kenneth from Jacksonville, Florida. Check it in. Nice to see you, Kenneth. Thanks for being here. I guess Tank could play fullback. He could. Tank could play whatever he wants because he is a giant. And yes, that defensive line, that defense, my goodness. If you need to know how good that defense was, look no further than the LSU game. He's putting some names right here so you can remember some of those. Whoops, didn't mean to zoom that in and out there. But we have to put some weight into what Feinbaum says. What did Feinbaum say? Honestly, he is the one guy that I didn't even read or listen to anything about. Did he say anything of value? I saw he got his contract renewed with ESPN, excuse me. I think I saw that. But listen, Feinbaum plays a character. He knows what gets him his audience, and he plays to it. And there's, to some degree, nothing wrong with that. He knows he can stir up the Alabama fans and Auburn fans, and just sit back and watch everything burn. And there's something brilliant about that. Here's a quick topic about media days. We kind of already addressed a little bit, but I just want to kind of see what you guys think about it. I don't think it's coincidence that Auburn was last on the last day of the last session. Um, Granted, I think the scheduling is deliberate to try to spread out some of the marquee teams that people want to see with some of the teams that people are kind of like, we kind of have to cover them. So you put Vanderbilt with Alabama on the same day. But I think the SEC office recognized as the week went on, as time went on, people were going to get less and less interested in this. And some of the, after hearing about from Alabama and Georgia and Florida and LSU and all that kind of stuff, they recognize that Auburn being a power conference, or excuse me, a power team in the SEC, traditionally at least, with the new blood and stuff, that's going to be a hot topic, and that's a good way to end. So I think it was purposeful that they put him there, and I think that's a good thing because all eyes, nobody was looking before or after us. They clearly, everybody was focused on the end and the new coach and Coach Harsin and his regime and the answers that he was given. So personally, I loved them being doing that for us because I think it shows what they're anticipating from us. Darius, did you hit the limit on this? Yeah, they do. They do that sometimes, but man. If Nix has time in the pocket, I think we'll see a better downfield completion percentage. 100 has time is the operative term there. Anthony, I can't remember how long you've been here on this channel, but most people are going to roll their eyes when they hear me say this again. The offensive line is where Auburn's problems begin and end. Everything else, where the other issues will get slowly fixed if we can fix that one thing. Bo Nix, his issues get fixed. The offenses, the problems get fixed. The wide receivers, confidence gets fixed. It all starts there. Football is a game of inches, and it begins and ends at the offensive and defensive lines. I argue more at the offensive line. So if Bo gets more time, allowing him to regain his confidence in his offensive line and take more chances in the way, and not just necessarily bailing, but hanging in that pocket, knowing that they're starting to have his back a little bit more, you could see that go up. And a scheme difference, a offensive difference is going to help that as well. Darius said Vandy will be an interesting team this year. Maybe. Let's see. A quarterback room with Bo as a senior, TJ as a sophomore or junior. Depends on the COVID rules. D will be maybe a redshirt freshman and Holden a true freshman. I think the way I see this shaking up, Bo's not a senior though. Unless you're talking a year removed. Bo's a junior, and if he has a good year, he might leave early, opening the door for TJ. But I do think that Demetrius plays the 5 games I think they can play and then is redshirted because I think he is the future. I think Holden will come in redshirt, and that'll build like a nice little cycle of quarterbacks that'll be 2 years removed from each other, and we won't have a lot of like dip like we had right now with nobody really behind Bo ready. So I think that could be what's building there in the quarterback room. In a weird way, I'm kind of glad Seth Williams left. I felt Bo forced the ball to him even when he was double covered. You got to spread the wealth and throw to the open guy. I think Bobo will help. So a couple ways to look at that, Lee, and the way I would kind of break it down in my head. Why did he feel the need to? Could it be because nobody else has showed reliance to do it so? Now, he had Anthony Schwartz. That's a good option. He had Elijah Stove when he was healthy, but he wasn't always healthy. Really there was a lot of drop balls by people behind all of those guys. So I think personally that kind of played into it just a little bit. But, I wouldn't say that I'm glad he left. I would say I'm understanding of the situation for him, but also for Auburn as well. I think he could have benefited from staying one more year. I think Auburn would have benefited, but I understand it. Anthony, thanks for being here, man. He says, lasers on, got to go. Good night. And War Eagle to you as well, sir. Our future at quarterback is set after QB2 was Grant Loy a year ago. Yes, he was QB2. Demetrius, because it's Demetrius, not Metrius, right? It's Demetrius. And Holden Grenier could be the quarterback battle of the ages. Hopefully, whoever loses the battle doesn't transfer. Probably going to happen. I want to prepare for that. Maybe also because we were talking about there's checkdowns. Lee, I disagree with you a little bit on that because there's no way to really prove that. You can't check down if there's no time to check down. Also, when you developed a habit because you're not trusting your offensive line, you don't really feel comfortable to check down because you feel like you're going to get hit all the time. Listen, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for Bo and for Coach Malzahn. I'm not sitting here trying to say they were perfect, but all of these issues get fixed with the offensive line, and that's been my stance the entire time. Geometry Dash Madness. Okay, I see Auburn at 6, 7-5. I have them at 8-5. I've risen my expectations higher in the past month or so from a 7 and 8. I think it was an 8. Oh, well, I still said 8-5. I'm trying to read through things here. 6-6, I doubt it. 7-5 is plausible. 6-6, I don't see because that means that you're assuming because the 5 losses I'm assuming right now: Penn State, LSU, Georgia, Alabama. Wait, Penn State, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. That's doing math in my head real quick. Penn State, LSU, Georgia, and Texas A&M. You're assuming that Auburn's going to lose to either Alabama State, Akron, Mississippi State, Arkansas, or am I forgetting one? I don't think I am. That ain't happening. It's just not. Georgia State. That ain't happening. Casey's in the house, the master of hyperbole. Good to see you. Oh, Rob, that's a good question. The rumor about Allen Green stepping down in maybe January. So there have been rumors that Allen Green was either leaving, taking another job, circulating back as far as before the firing of Coach Malzahn. Do I think that Allen Green and Auburn, the relationship has long for this world? No. But will it happen on a specific timeline? Probably not. I always operate where there is smoke, there's fire. I think there's a little bit of a, whether whoever is right or wrong or something, the time on the relationship is waning, personally, in my opinion. And that's not a reflect. I think coach, well, I mean, in some sense, he's a coach. Allen Green's done a lot of great things here at Auburn. And I'm very thankful for his time here, and I hope he stays longer. I don't know that the marriage will last long term, though. Just my opinion from things that I hear. Casey, love the press conference. I can see you. I hope not. I mean, if Bo shows out this year, I see him declaring. Yeah, I would too, and say TJ would be the quarterback. I think if Bo has an excellent year, he'll probably go. Just feeling the situation out, it would feel right. Casey, I am shocked that you even have predicted one loss for Auburn. I have my friend Ben King, who started this podcast network with me. I thought Ben was the biggest Barner in the world. That is you, Casey. And I mean that in the best possible way. Let's see here. Getting behind in chat again. Sorry, my nose is itching real bad. I have them losing to South Carolina if they go 6. I forgot South Carolina was on there. 6-6. If they go 7-5, I have the same as you. No, I've only trying to get all my math right in my head. You're because I predicted a bowl loss. That's what it was. Okay, so I would predict. I think they'll beat Texas A&M, is what I said. What they'll beat one of those five there's a possibility to lose to. Um, I don't see them losing to South Carolina, not after what they've been through. When you think of Auburn, you think of Visualix. Am I missing the joke there? I'm missing that one. Watching our tight end catch a pass up the seam is going to bring a tear to my eye. What if you don't see that? Will everybody stop fussing about that? Probably not, but it'd be interesting. I swear, I'm allergic to something here tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. Unbeaten Lake says Allen Green's too good to lose. I feel like if you disagree with that, you're a jerk. I don't think anybody's to certain points too good to lose. I don't think Gus Malzahn was too good to lose. I think firing Gus Malzahn was the wrong decision at the current time, for instance. But I don't think that he was too good to lose. I think what I admire most about Allen Green, he came into a culture, into a situation where he really needed to learn to be a part of it. And I think he did an excellent job of that and assimilating before you make your changes. And he made a lot of changes this year, a little bit too much for my taste. And that's not just talking about football. But I admire what he did with that. And I think if it works out, Auburn and Allen Green can have a long, happy relationship. I don't think that anybody is too good to lose, though. Rob Donaldson, Texas and Oklahoma, could it place Auburn in the East? I think it would, and I think it would move Alabama over as well. Bring those two in, put them in the West, put Missouri in the West, Alabama and Auburn over to the East. Problem solved. All the traditional rivalries are together. No more of this LSU, Florida crap, all that kind of stuff. Auburn is then in its traditional recruiting grounds. They get to renew on a regular basis rivalries that they've traditionally had with Tennessee, Florida, keeping the Georgia, keeping Alabama. It's a win-win for everybody. LSU and Arkansas are back together. LSU and Texas A&M are out there with each other. Mississippi's right. It just makes sense. I think it needs to happen, personally. I don't know that they'll go the division route. They'll probably do that pod crap that they're talking about, which is, it's fine, but it doesn't fix any of the scheduling. And because in those pod situations, if you've seen some of them floating around, Georgia and Auburn wouldn't see each other but every 2 years. I'm not okay with that. Auburn is known as running back U. Yes, we are. And have been known, we're in kicker U right now. We're also defensive back U right now, but we've also been linebacker U, defensive line U, offensive line U. Haven't really been a quarterback or a wide receiver U. Maybe that's changing, though. Okay, I got you. But you creeped me out, Casey, when you said that you could see me. Oh, had me worried there for a second. Yes, we found out that you're the cousin of Booby Whitlow. You weren't a huge bar until you got there. Auburn will get in your blood and steal you and never let hold of you. And I mean that in the best possible way. South Carolina is better than 2020 South Carolina. Well, I would hope so when you fire your head coach, that means you're going to be better. So by virtue of that alone, yes. I still don't think they're going to be good enough to beat Auburn, even in an Auburn team that's trying to regain its footing. Anyone else drinking Milo's tea? I love Milo's tea. Obviously, you'll help Bo and his sponsors out if you do that. Whoever just hit the like button, thank you so much. If you haven't, please do that if you feel so led to do so, because it does help the stream out. All right, we're kind of getting towards the end of our time here. We think we've kind of talked a lot about that. Trying to catch up here. Let's see. I have South Carolina at 7-5, 8-4. I haven't looked at their schedule enough to really see us, to see if I agree with that. I just know that I have Auburn potentially losing to Penn State, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M. I have upgraded my expectations to 8-5 with a bold loss, which means that they would have to beat one of those 5 I just named. Most likely being Texas A&M or LSU. I'm leaning LSU right now. I am. I don't know why, but I am. Asa Martin, yes. My wife was a huge Asa Martin fan because she's from Decatur, where he was from. In fact, I think I saw him at a game or something like that before he got to Auburn. Hate it didn't work out, but Rob, I don't know that Auburn necessarily did him wrong. I remember the situation vaguely, and I heard some insider information about it that wasn't being shared publicly, and it sounds to me like there was just as much miscommunication from the Martins to Auburn, and it seems like it was a situation that was mishandled but all the way around. So, but you're obviously gonna side with the player, especially when fan support and feelings about the current head coach and regime are waning. People are looking for a reason to get mad and all that kind of stuff. So, just my opinions there. Imani, what's going on? I hadn't seen you in a while. It says Auburn winning the national championship. Done. It's over with. Are you Casey? Is this Casey's second account? Don't think so, but let's hope so. Unrelated, but Auburn High School has gotten loaded with people with Division I offers. It's a good school. It's top tier in the Alabama. So anyway, all right. Last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now before we get out of here. Just as a final reminder again, please do consider, if you haven't, some of these ways you can help support us. The easiest and cheapest thing to do is just being here, watching our videos on YouTube, following our podcast on like Apple Podcast, any podcast out there. But if you do want to financially support what we do here, you can do that a couple of different ways. The Booster Club. Patreon.com/E2C Network. $1 a month is all it takes. And you get some pretty cool perks to go along with that, even at $1 a month. But there are different tiers that go there as well. It's also, you can become a channel supporter here for 99 cents and help us keep the lights on here and keep producing content. And you can check out some of the other ways in the description, such as PayPal, TeePublic, all kinds of good stuff. I think, actually, let me bring this up. I didn't mean to, but I think there's a sale going on right now, $13 tees. You can get our gear and some other related gear, too, if you want some of that. But there you go. Check all that stuff out. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell if you haven't done so already. Don't want to miss out on any content that we're doing here. Oh, let's see. What's everybody saying here? If Asa Martin was to be redshirted, why have him even dressed out? I don't know the answer to that. All I can tell you is that based off what I was told, there was just as much miscommunication on both sides. And I hate to make judgment calls, but I'm not shocked, to be honest with you. Just feeling the situation now. That's all it is an opinion. It's not a fact. Talking about all the running backs that we had on the roster: Cam Martin, DK Williams, Worm, Malik Miller, Mark Anthony Richards, Tolbert. Can't remember the first one. Asa Martin. Most people forgot him. Harold Joyner. I think I'm missing more. Harold Joyner, though, wasn't really a true running back. He was kind of like a hybrid type of player. CJ Uzama is not a good comparison, but CJ wasn't a traditional tight end, wasn't a traditional H-back, wasn't a traditional wide receiver. You kind of just use them wherever they can. Couldn't really find Harold a place. He had like one or two big plays, but he had a lot of drops too. I think the thing that people forget a lot of it, because people love to run the list of players that didn't work out under Coach Malzahn. And what they forget is that those players have to seize the opportunities that they're given. And when they don't do that, you can't keep putting them in there, because it's going to make you look even worse if you keep giving these guys chances and they keep failing. So they have to earn it, and they have to make the most of it when they get their opportunities. And most of those players, Malik's a different story. Malik Miller had injuries galore. Cam Martin's the one that probably worked out the best, but didn't have the most heralded time at Auburn. Uh, let's see here. Imani says Alabama will be overrated. I think they're a little overrated this year, but let's wait and see what Bryce Young, I think his name is. Let's see what he does the first couple weeks. He's going to look good. Alabama has a great offensive line depth, and that's always going to help somebody. Look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones is not that good of a quarterback, but they made him look like a world beater and helped him develop into a much better quarterback by the time he was done because of the support that he had. Let's see here. I think we're about done here. Let me just. Let's see here. Been listening to your mess for too long. Bo is a Heisman quarterback coming into the season with a. I don't know if you're referring to me or someone else, but I've been saying that Bo is I don't know if you're trying to be funny, but Bo, I think, is going to be the quarterback, is going to have a decent year, but just probably not Heisman level, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it, mainly for today. Weird note to end on, but make sure you're subscribed, notification bell. We will do another live stream, I'm sure, soon, and we will obviously talk about whatever comes up. Some of you requested that maybe after Big Cat Weekend, or maybe even as early tomorrow, we do a live stream. I can't guarantee that like I could tonight, but I will do my best to get another one up soon for you guys. We'll have some more videos, like edited videos, coming out very soon that I hope. Terry says, don't you dare end it. Listen, my man, this voice has got to have rest sometimes. And I appreciate that you love being here, but I have to get some rest at some point, but I promise you that I will be back. That I appreciate. It says, don't you dare leave. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for being here and hanging out. Smash that like button on the way out if you haven't. And we'll be back together with you very soon to talk about some more things related to Auburn very, very soon. Until I talk to you guys again, War Eagle.